So today we are out in the garage on the last day of 2020. Of course, we'll be in 2021 by the time you start watching this. I'm not going to put it out immediately. It's a very warm day today. It's 41 degrees. I know all you Florida people are like, oh my God, 40 is so cold. You guys get cold when it's 60 and you put sweatshirts on. It's 40. I'm almost ready to put shorts on right now. Today we're taking the brake caliper off the Cobra. I'm going to start the process of getting these flip back onto the right side, but I'm also taking this entire caliper apart and rebuilding it with new seals and everything else that goes inside of it. And then I'm going to send it off to get powder coated. I want it paint matched with the car. I think that will look a lot better than the regular black ones. So today for this video, it's pretty much just going to be removing this, disassembling the caliper, and then the second part of this video, I'll get it back from the powder coating and put it back on the car if it's warm enough. I kind of have a limit, even though I can deal with cold pretty well, but there's a limit to being out here in the garage and working on stuff in the December, January time of year. So we're going to work on getting this caliper off, and luckily I have the stock Cobra brakes as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the line right off the back of the Brembo, and it's both bolts are 14 millimeter. So I'm hoping it swaps right into this caliper. I'm just going to remove the line, put it in here, and hang it from up there, so that way I don't have brake fluid dripping all over the place with this caliper being off. I'll put these on temporarily, and also have some other parts coming to go along with this entire setup. So that's enough for the intro. Let's get started. So picking this up quite a bit later, that was one hell of a process getting these off. And you may be thinking, well, taking calipers off isn't a big job, and it's not. It's only 2 bolts that hold them on. I just wanted to put this edit in real quick. The reason why I think this top bolt may have been stuck, it was the only one that I had problems with, and I'm not 100% sure this is the reason. But this was used as a road race car before I bought it. It was raced at Sebring. And I kind of feel as though maybe this one caliper got heated up a lot, because I had a lot of other issues with this caliper, such as the pad guide plates. One of the bolts stripped on that one because it wouldn't want to come out. So I really think maybe this caliper just got really heated at one point, and maybe that's why that bolt stuck, because you can see all the heat that I applied to it with the torch and hitting it with the impact, and it just wouldn't come out. So maybe that's why, maybe it's not, I have no idea. Point is, it's out now, so I just wanted to add a little bit of clarity, because I originally thought maybe it was because red Loctite was put on it, but it just didn't really make any sense, and I didn't want to accuse anyone of doing that without even really knowing. So I just wanted to throw that in real quick. It may be right, may not be right, but just my assumption at this point. The Cobra caliper option didn't work the way I wanted it to. I ended up just putting a shop towel in there and pulling it really, really tight. And as of now, it doesn't appear to be leaking. So hopefully it stays like that. But worst comes to worst, I'm gonna end up bleeding this entire system anyway. So now I'm gonna go into the house and start disassembling these calipers. Before I get taking this caliper apart, I just wanted to throw in this picture real quick. It's a nut with some rubber washers and a bolt going through the caliper line for the brake line going to the caliper. I didn't want to leave the paper towel in it the whole time. I knew eventually it would soak through, so I ran to the hardware store real quick. I also do plan on buying an entire new hardware kit for these. So essentially I'm going to have brand new rebuilt Brembos just for the cost of the kit, new pads and powder coating, versus what these would cost brand new, because this set is like over 1,300 bucks. And I don't even believe you can get this set anymore as far as I know. Now, one method to get the pistons out of these is to use compressed air and blow it in through where the banjo bolt goes in, and it'll pop the calipers out. Problem is, when I run my air compressor in the garage, which is another reason why I didn't use it to get that stuck bolt off, is it trips my breaker in the house for the breaker for the garage. So that's an issue I need to resolve down the road with the garage, but it's not too hard getting these out. You need a pick to get the seals out, and then you can just take a screwdriver and tap the pistons out. I did it on another Brembo caliper that I have left over from when I had my STI. It comes out pretty easy, so we're going to use that method today. Now, I'm not too concerned about damaging any of these seals because I'm buying an entire new kit, which is going to have all brand new stuff in it. Some of these seals are coming out pretty easy and other ones are not, so I think these were probably dried out and it was in need of being rebuilt anyway. It's not coming out all that easy even with a pick. And this last seal here, I can even see that it's cracked, dry rotted around the seal. So it's kind of good that I decided to do this little bit extra on it and replace all these seals because it looks like it definitely needed it. I have to pound it out, so I just wrap the end of the screwdriver in a shop towel. And once that pops out, it will drip out quite a bit of brake fluid. And I brought a bucket in from outside, just an old junk bucket. And there's one inner seal. This is a little one. It sits down. A little bit of a groove inside the cavity that the piston sits in. So I'm going to go through and get out all the rest of these pistons, and then we'll break this thing in half. So this is a few days later, and this was quite a process to get to this point. These calipers and this whole shooting of this whole video has just fought me the entire way. It started out with, as you know, the top caliper bolt for the mount was stuck and won't come off. Took forever to get that off. I finally was able to get that off. Where this video left off before this last section started, I was pounding the pistons out on these. These calipers, I'm pretty sure with every aftermarket caliper that you can get for big brake hits, there's two different piston sizes. There's 36 millimeter in this and 40 millimeter. The 36 millimeters came out fine. I was able to pound those out, and I finished that off camera. The 40s, which are the slightly bigger ones, these ones would not come out. I couldn't pound them out, and when I put air to them with because I didn't use the air compressor in the garage. I have a smaller air compressor that a friend gave me, and I used that. I brought that into the house. It's only like a couple gallon size. So I put air to it. The problem was that all the pistons that would come out, it shot those out really easy, and it wouldn't shoot out the ones that were stuck. So those 40s were a real pain to try and get out. What I had to end up doing was I had to clamp 36s, hit it with air so the 40s would pop out, but then that caused a problem of the 36s being stuck all the way in, and I wasn't able to get those out. So if I put the 40s back in and put air to it to pop those out, the 40s would get stuck again. So it was this whole repeating process of it just did not want to cooperate. What I ended up doing was I took the 36s out and got the 40s to the point where they were poking out, and I took the hammer and the screwdriver and just pounded them out the rest of the way. I'm not sure how well you can see this. Yeah, it's showing up pretty well. These are beat up, and that was from me. They were not in the caliper like that. That was because most of these 40s, I had to take a pair of channel locks and just rock it back and forth and try and break it loose within the caliper to get them out. Which brings me back to this big point of why I'm rebuilding these calipers. My 07 STI had 4-piston Brembos similar to these on it. That thing would stop so hard. When I got the Cobra and I realized, oh, these have 4-piston Brembos, this is going to be awesome. I hit the brakes and it never felt right. There was always something off. The car would brake. It's not like I couldn't stop, but it did not brake like 4-piston Brembo should brake, not what I was used to when I had them on another car before. My conclusion is that all the 40mm pistons in these were stuck. So I was braking basically with two 36s. That's my conclusion. As you can see, these are not split. I brought these to a friend's house. I hit this with, it's a 10mm hex that goes on these big bolts that hold the whole caliper together. My impact driver, the one that I showed earlier in the video, wouldn't break it. I tried doing it myself, wouldn't break it. Brought it over to a friend's house, we put it in his vise, and he applied a ton of torque on one of these bolts, and it would not break. At that point, came to the conclusion that you do not have to split these to get a powder coater. I talked to the powder coater, and he said, no, it doesn't have to be split. They can be done just like this. And the chance of breaking loose all 4 of these bolts and 4 on the other side and not having something bad happen, the chances of something breaking, a bolt snapping, thread stripping, it was very high. I'm not sure what the torque is to hold these in, but I just didn't want to chance it. It wasn't worth it just to break them apart. They're completely apart now, as you can tell. All the inner seals are out that go into the pistons. Clips, pins, bleeder screws are out. So these are basically ready to get powder coated. I'm waiting to get a quote back, and then they'll be brought down to the powder coater at that point. So I ordered new 40mm pistons because these were trashed. I also ordered new 36s because why not? These calipers realistically could be 20 years old at this point. And because of that, I just wanted to do all new hardware. In order to buy a 4-piston kit for a Cobra, you're going to spend upwards of $1,000 plus. For me to completely redo these with all new hardware, new pistons, new seals, is significantly less. So it's worth going through all of this to rebuild these with all new parts to get it to the point of where it should be with calipers of this standard of what they are and how good they should perform. The powder coating, I'm not really too concerned with the overall cost because it's just something that I want to do. I want these to be red so it matches the car. I don't like the black as much, even though I do have a black and red theme going on with the car and what the under the engine bay will look like as well. That's way down the road. Videos not happening in 2021, we'll put it that way. So that's the update on this. Part 2 of this video is going to be when I get all the parts in. The 40mm are coming from across the pond over in England. Found them on eBay. So those are coming. I still have to order the 36s. The rebuild kit, which has the pins, the clip, the seals, bleeder screws, all that's coming. I bought that on eBay as well. So that's coming. So the only thing left to do is to take these off to get powder coated and to order the 36s. So the next video will be after these are powder coated, not the next video after you wash this, depends on when I release it. But part 2 of this will be these being powder coated and reassembling all of this stuff. If you have any questions about how to get any of this stuff out, the pistons or how to disassemble these calipers, leave a comment. I'll get back to you about that. But that's pretty much it. So at least they're out, and I can move forward with at least getting these back to the condition where they should be. So that's it. Stay tuned for part 2. Will be coming in a little while after this comes out. So thank you very much for watching. Till next time.